Welcome everybody to the Toku Portal podcast for Uchuu Sentai KyuuRanger. I am Vashi V, and here with me today is...
Decade.
King?
And Rye. Hey, if King is already pretty giggly, blame Vashi.
True.
I am a giant
Warning in
jackass.
advance for those who hate bones.
I made very, very bad puns right before the podcast.
Okay, so today we're talking about Uchuu Sentai KyuuRanger, episode 25. First we get a Kotaro recap, then Tsurugi assures the Rangers that the Tokei Kyutama can't send them to the past. Kotaro wonders if he could see his mom, who died of sickness soon after Jiro was born, but he lets it go. And then we cut to planet Toki. Tetsu is attacking Spada and Raptor because he sees them as a threat now. The other Rangers arrive and he retreats. Raptor and Spada explain that the planet is shaped like a clock with 12 coils, which must be turned within 30 minutes before they all reset. And the two couldn't do it alone. So each Ranger heads towards a coil, because there's 12 of them. Lucky is stopped by Elidron, Stinger by Scorpio, Hami by Gonish, and Spada by Madako with her original personality. And Tsurugi is stopped by Cuervo. And then we get the opening. Thoughts?
Kotaro trying to, relate a little bit with the others. It's like, oh, I'm sure you guys have all dealt with it before. It's not something to worry about. For a 12-year-old, that kid's pretty strong for someone who just lost his mom. I mean, I honestly don't know how many years ago it was, but still, I think it shows he may still be a kid, but he's got a mind of his own. And I feel like this episode was a bit more of a all-together situation. Like, it's where you have the new guy finally join the team, and now they're in a situation where they need everybody, and they just so happen to have the last guy they need. Don't get me wrong, it's a solid concept, it's just something I've seen. It was still good. It was still good, though.
The episode setup was nothing to write home about, but I will say, I do like the Vice Shogun's idea here. Two of them are separated from the rest. Why don't I just go kill those two first? They're all clearly a threat here. So props to him for thinking a little bit there. I do like how they chose like a few characters to focus on for this episode instead of just the one that they would normally do. It shows that the writing, doesn't have to suck. But we'll get more into that later. For now, I choose to believe that Spada had to deal with Madako because after her final defeat, he cooked octopus to celebrate. Vashi can't talk right now, so we should just move on without him.
That joke was appreciated, though. That would be pretty funny if that's why they had him deal with Madako. But yeah, let's see. So yeah, then we get the opening. Then when we come back, it's Space 25, Planet Toki, A Boy's Resolve. Tsurugi hypothesizes that the explosion of Tetsu's attack twisted time on the planet, and is why all those ghosts are spawning. Cuervo attacks, the other ghosts attack. I'm just calling them ghosts, but they're actually real. It's strange. Time ghosts, I guess. The Ranger Star Change. Lucky wins with Taiyo mode. Stinger and Hami win as well. Spada defeats Madako, but she revives. Tetsu summons another Madako as well. Sho is confronted by Big Bear. Garu is stopped by his drag queen version, but he transforms and defeats him. Balance is met by Naga, but they just high five and he lets Balance turn the coil. Champ is met by Dr. Anton and Toots Yoingdabi. Strangely, he's temporarily paralyzed, but Stinger saves him and calls him partner, which is pretty nice. Naga turns his coil, but is disappointed when he reveals to Balance that no one appeared before him. He's concerned that he doesn't have a heart after all. But I think the fact that he's getting depressed over this means that he does have a heart. So it's kind of a good sign. He just doesn't really know it. Thoughts?
I'll try to make it quick since we've gone over a lot of them already. Lucky, honestly, all the fights before the ones with Tetsu, of course, I thought really showed leaps and milestones for a lot of the different characters. Like the fighter, seeing as he was able to beat Aerodron quite easily, Stinger shows he's willing to not hesitate anymore and go for his friends over his family. Champ, I think, is something that none of us really noticed. He's starting to have doubts about his past because we never see the professor's face. It's always covered. He's surrounded by Tsuyo and Devos. He's paralyzed. Only Anton could have made maybe a purposeful glitch or something like that. So he's starting to have doubts about his past because he favors Stinger now. And I did like the eyeball thing. That was good. Balance and Naga, I figured that was gonna happen eventually. Naga, like Decade said, the fact that he's depressed about this shows that he does have a heart. And one thing I think is very important is that if people care about you, that means you have to care about them first, you know? So, the fact that Naga was Balance's memory that appeared shows that Balance cares about him. That could just be him alone, and I could be pulling this out of thin air, but I feel like the fact that Balance cares that much for Naga shows that Naga has a heart enough to care about Balance. So, that might be something, I don't know. But yeah, I thought it was cool, and seeing Tsurugi fight Cuervo was...
Okay, so Naga and Balance. Yeah. It's like Naga was just confident that no, rather Balance was confident that Naga was going to appear before him. Cause why? I don't know why. Maybe he just knew that like it was something emotional that was going to appear before you. Except for Lucky and Hame for some reason. Because they're underdeveloped like some of these characters are. Sholampo getting Big Bear, that was actually like really good because he's like, oh, I guess I get to confront my old demons here, eh? And he was just ready for it. He was like ready to tackle this and go for it. Who else got a thing? Oh, right, Champ. So I wanted to talk about Champ. That whole paralysis thing is actually really suspicious. Especially since they don't show the doctor's face at all. You could make an argument like, well, if they didn't get the actor return, of course they wouldn't show it. No, I think there was more to it I think they were foreshadowing something there that we're going to see later, and I really want that to be the case. Because it really seems like there's something going on there that we weren't being told. Especially since Champ wasn't aware of, like, why am I being paralyzed? Why is this even a thing? As for Garo, I wish that they had more to work with for him than just like, oh, hey, remember that one time he cross-dressed? Disappointing. But that's all I've had to say.
I mean, it's a little disappointing with Garo, considering the fact that with what happens later with Kotaro, it could have easily been done with Garo as well. Because Garo is literally the last of his species. Wouldn't you? And with the way they introduced his character, because they kind of threw it in with with one of them that it was their biggest actually it was with Garo that it was his biggest shame.
To be quite honest, I thought that they were going to pan over and show like his brother or something.
Right, they could have done that with the whole fact of the entire reason why he's still alive and the rest of his, species is dead, is because he chose not to fight. And granted, yes, he probably would have died at the time, but you can make an argument from his standpoint that him not fighting led, didn't help anything, and could be seen as case for the reason why his entire species is dead, because he did nothing to stop it. To me, I think that's a bigger shame than, oh, I had to cross just once. The issue with Champ, like, I like the fact that it's touching on what Scorpio had mentioned about Dr. Anton, about the fact that, yes, he worked for Dark Matter. It was nice that they brought that back rather than just ignoring it completely, which I had a feeling the series was going to do. And I agree with Rai that it seems more like foreshadowing for the reason that they didn't show his face. And I have a feeling it's going to tie into the fact of them going into the past to find out what really fucking happened. Because I think Anton was involved in that. But that's just because of the way they lined up that shot.
You actually make a great point there. Going to the past is actually a really brilliant idea here, because they can do a lot of really good exposition and setup for the rest of the series.
Especially with the characters that everything we know about them, or all the questions that we have about them, are laid in the past. We have Suguri and everything that happened with Dark Matter. We've got fucking this issue with Champ. We have fucking... They can touch on it with fucking Kotaro. They could touch on it with pretty much fucking everybody. It would not be hard to use this for exposition, and it would be a great way to do it if they do it right.
Yeah, but... Sorry.
You're fine, go ahead.
I just feel like this is going to be sort of a one-time gig, because, I mean, they went through all that trouble just to get it. I feel like this is going to be like Pixis all over again. Like, we can only use it when it's at full charge. And I understand the argument. Like, there are so many ways they could go about this, but I feel like they've already got one spot destination in mind. If they do touch on all those by using the time Kyutama, by all means, I'll be thrilled, but I feel like they've really got one set point, and that was 300 years ago, and I think that kind of a little bit to what they can really do.
Maybe they can't make it there in one jump.
Right, that's what I was gonna think of. They can use it to where they have to like progressively go back to where like the first time you use it, it jumps it back to Kotaro's mom dying.
Like,
and it jumps back to Garo's family, Garo's species dying. Then it jumps back to Anton being a shit dick. Then it jumps back to whatever the hell happened with Dark Matter.
It could even stop at, like, Lucky's childhood and show us what that depressing scene of Lucky as a kid looking at inside the burning chapel.
Yeah, that too, because they could touch on that.
Like, I could see
literally got dropped out of nowhere.
I could see this entire arc just being like, alright, so here's the episode about this character's past. Here's the one about this character's past. And this would be a great way to help us connect with them a bit more than just through the normal flashbacks that we haven't even really been getting.
Right, and it's a good way to do it. And in theory, it's fantastic. But this series hasn't been the best at controlling its writing staff, in my opinion. Because this series has kind of been all over the place with it. It's gotten a lot better. It really has. In terms of the control of like the pacing and the direction that the episodes are going. But a lot of them still kind of feel like a little bit out there and sporadic a little bit. Like the whole fucking shit with Madako. Where the fuck was that tentacle? Because she died in another fucking universe.
No, but don't worry about it, bro.
Do you want...
Time travel.
It's Sentai. The less headaches we get from it, the better.
But that's a big fucking headache. Where the fuck did Madoko's tentacle come from?
Well, no, I think Scorpio saved one and then brought back that masculine Madako, and that's the one that Tsurugi killed in his debut. So I guess it was one of her tentacles, and somehow Tetsu got a hold of it before he even was deployed by Don Armage. Yeah, it's just all over the place.
Don't worry about it. Time travel.
Yes.
Hey, don't worry about it. We can use time travel to explain it now. And nobody has to call Deno.
Space Ghost.
I do see your points about that arc, though. That could be really cool.
Though,
Yeah, I have another interesting... Oh, go ahead.
I did also like the fact that the person that fucking Suguri got stuck with was Cuervo. Only because it's adding more to the what the fuck happened. Because it is pushing to the whole let's go back in the past to find out what the whole happened. So there's whatever nightmare fucking reveal that's gonna be. But it's nice that they didn't just drop it and have it be some random ass villain.
Yeah, I have another interesting thought that just popped into my head about the whole champ thing. Maybe Dr. Anton isn't even dead. Maybe he's gone back to working for Dark Matter. Because, I mean, why the hell would there be two freaking Sion to be just waiting to jump him? And why did he get,
think he's Scorpio?
temporarily disabled? Like, and then they don't actually show the doctor getting killed. Like, Stinger shows up and blasts the grunts, but we don't see what happens to the doctor.
Maybe the doctor is Don Armage now.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Do you honestly expect anything less with this series? I'm grasping at straws with whatever possibility nutfuck the explanation that this series is going to have with this.
Who hasn't?
So yes, now that is now a valid fucking possibility because KyuuRanger.
Okay. Well, let's move on. Let's see. Yeah, Naga gets disappointed. Yeah. So, Raptor is distressed because Spada, Lucky, Tsurugi, and Shalompo are proposing to her at her location. Why Sho is there and not Stinger, I will not understand. That's kind of weird.
Wait, Stinger wasn't there?
No.
Okay, so on. Who was there again?
It was Spada, Lucky, Tsurugi, and Sho. Lompo.
Oh god, I just assumed Stinger was amongst them.
No.
Congratulations, the writers found the fan fiction for KyuuRanger.
I guess so.
Sorry about that. Hey, welcome to the Toku Portal Podcast, where we play a weekly game of when is my internet going to fucking drop?
No kidding.
You and me both.
The weirdest part is, because my internet is going to drop, it would take me longer to, like, get onto Facebook on my phone and message you, hey, I'll be gone in a minute, than it takes me to, like, reconnect.
Hey guys, welcome to the stream. Apparently we went live during that.
Oh yeah, we went live as soon as I got back.
Yeah. Our internets are crap. We apologize.
Like, this is why I warned you guys last week. Like, if I drop, the stream is dead. But once I'm back, the stream is live.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's good to know.
And YouTube takes out the dead air automatically, so to you guys, this is just a weird-ass conversation.
But he's been gone for like 2 minutes.
So, what was the note we were on? Go on, Decade.
Basically the fangirl Mariko. um, then Kotaro arrives at his coil, but his mother appears before him and hugs him. And then we go to a commercial break. His mother asks how he's doing. He tells her he's fine, and Jiro is with their grandpa. That would explain that. Kotaro begins to turn the coil, but his mother starts disappearing. Naga and Balance find Sho drinking and laughing with Big Bear. Naga gets more depressed because, again, no one appeared when he showed up at his coil. So Balance just quickly finishes Sho's drink, and he turns the coil. Big Bear disappears. Raptor still can't decide on whose proposal to accept. The others are fighting the Marakos. Champ and Stinger head to Kotaro, who is unable to turn the coil. And Tetsu arrives. Champ and Stinger interfere. Tsurugi arrives as well. But Kotaro still can't turn the coil. And he just decides to chase Tetsu instead. And then the masculine Mariko is defeated, and the creepy one retreats. So, any thoughts so far?
I'm glad that we gave Kotaro a little bit more, tiny bit more backstory. And hey, no one can joke anymore about where the hell his little brother is. Now we know he's with his uncle, so that's good at least. I know I've seen his mom's actress in a couple of other Sentai. I can't remember where else, but she's pretty good for what she's in. And Tetsu doing the attack on the one kid, I thought was, yes, a bit of a jackass move, but proves he's still thinking. Like you guys said earlier, he attacked the two that were separated. Why not attack the kid that's separated? And not to get ahead of myself, but I really like how this was a bit of a conflict with what he lost and what he aims to do now. I feel like that his mom coming back was a bit more of a reminder of why it is he wants to do any of this in the first place. And the fight was pretty good for how small it was. I still hate the new Madeko too, though.
Yeah, the thing with Kotaro's mom was, yeah, I can understand, like, shit, I don't want her to disappear just yet. Let me talk to her for a few minutes first. And then here comes the bad guy. Like, you know what, I'll just start with the little kid. He's probably defenseless. Yeah, King said most of it. I don't think I have anything to add.
Like, tactically, that was brilliant. Because, like King said, he started off attacking the two that were off by themselves, and then literally went after the quote-unquote defenseless child. Strategically, it's great. Evil, but great.
Hey, they're an evil galaxy organization.
Yes, so it fits perfectly. This right here has like been my kind of issue with having the child ranger, because they've had this in the past with Kiba Ranger, and then they did it in the US with in Turbo.
Justin.
God,
Justin was so annoying.
You have, as a child ranger, you should have the biggest fucking target on your back. The only thing that I think that typically saves Kotaro outside of a situation like this is he's always with one of the other rangers. This particular instance, he was off by himself, so it's only natural he get targeted. I had a slight issue, which I'll get to when we hit the next set of notes with this. But overall, it was nice to see for them to fill in some of the plot holes with Kotaro, give him a bit more character and more understanding, more relatability. Considering up until the Scorpio fight, Kotaro was north of useless and a giant pain in the ass and a twat waffle at the same time. So it's nice to see them give him character, make him relatable, make him likable. There's an aspect that, like I said, of this scene, which I'll get to in a minute, that drove me nuts, but it does kind of make sense. The fight was awesome. It's like, I did like the fact that, to me, can we just officially say that Suguri is the red? Fuck Lucky. Suguri seems more natural as a leader.
Vashi?
Did I cut out?
Yeah, you said Suguri feels more naturally of a leader.
Oh yeah, that was the last thing I said.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, definitely once we get into the mech fight, Lucky pretty much does nothing.
Like,
Okay, so I guess I'm gonna keep going. Yeah, let's see. So yeah, Kotaro is still conflicted. Tsurugi asks what he wants to do because only he can make that decision. Kotaro wants to defeat Dark Matter. He blames them for his mother's death because she couldn't go to a hospital for her illness. He wants to bring back peace, so he decides to say goodbye to his mother. But Tetsu interrupts, and creepy Madako arrives. All the other Rangers arrive and join in. Kotaro's mother observes from the side. All 12 star change and roll call. Pretty awesome. And we get a new insert song. Madako is defeated. Kotaro turns giant and turns the fight against Tetsu. And then all the Rangers ultimate all-star crash to defeat him. But he survives and turns into a giant. The Voyagers deploy. Lucky Star plays. They form Kyuutamajin. With Tsurugi acting as the strategist, the Rangers easily outmaneuver Tetsu and defeat him for good. Kotaro's mother entrusts Kotaro to the Rangers before she disappears. He rushes over to her and hugs her, and promises to save the galaxy. Pretty nice moment. And then we cut to Don Aramage deploying 2 more Vice Shoguns, Kukuruga and Akamba, who has a pretty familiar voice for those of you who watched KyuuRanger. But yeah, that's the end of the episode. Thoughts?
So long, Ninja Blue. Hello, Denji Green and Yellow Buster. But, I did like the mech fight this time. I know it's growing on me. And I do like that everybody was a part of it this time. I like to even call that out. Kotaro's scene with his mom was very heartwarming. I did like it. I won't lie, tears were shed. And the scene with Tsurugi right before the fight, I know that I honestly did like it, because it was a really good moment. Like, the new guy working with the one who's technically his senior, because he joined the KyuuRangers first, whether or not Tsurugi used to be one. And I like how they gave him ties to Jack Matter and why he wanted to do all of this to begin with. Because with a lot of them, I will admit, we don't have very many ties. Like Stinger, Show, Champ. I mean, guys like them, they're pretty easy. But, you know, like Spada, we've touched on a little bit. Hammy, we've touched on a little bit. Kotaro, we didn't know what his ties were. Now we know that if Jack Matter didn't exist, they would have gotten his mom to a hospital and she might have lived. And that really goes to show, like, and that's why it shows why he protects adults now, too, because they're not willing to fight back. I mean, we've been over this before, yes, but it shows a new layer. Like, I couldn't protect my mom from Jack Matter. That doesn't mean I can't protect other parents from Jack Matter or any other adult. So, I know it was sort of flip-flop, like, I don't want to do this, okay, I'll do this, like that, but I thought that was a good transition, in my opinion, because it really shows his ties and why it is he wants to do this at all, despite how fast it was. And I did love the fight before the Zord scene.
This battle, like, KyuuRanger is consistently at its best when it fully utilizes all of its members. And this fight is just another example of that. It shows that they can do this, but they don't do it consistently. Like, you have everyone working together here, like, Hame and Kotaro, like, hold down the enemy while, like, 4 people with slashing weapons jump up and just attack them. Kotaro goes big and, like, knocks him into the air. And then, like, again, like, a bunch of people just jump up and start getting their own hits in. Like, teamwork. Sentai.
Pretty great.
This is probably the best battle we've had, like, this series. And then we finally get a good mech fight. This series has been lacking on that for quite a while now. It's not just, alright, form and then shoot lasers. They actually fight. You know, it doesn't make the most use out of everyone, but it shows that, you know, the other Kyutama cockpits can detach and form their own mechs to still fight. I still think that the mech, this all-together mech, is a bit of a waste of potential. But here they did show that, you know, you can get some good use out of it. And I hope to see more of that going forward. And I'm going to be pissed if next episode is just relegated back to, okay, shoot the laser beams.
Like, my only issue with the whole Kotaro thing, which is what I wanted to touch on a minute, was the fact that because of the way they timed it in this episode, it literally goes from, I'm not going to do the thing because it'll, you know, my mom will disappear again, to literally 30 seconds later, I'm going to do the thing. I think this would have had a bit more impact and more weight to Kotaro's decision if they would have had Kotaro's mom show up at the beginning of the episode and have him go through the episode of fighting with himself on whether or not he should do this, you know, because he doesn't want to lose his mom again, and then, but he also wants to save the galaxy. I think it would have had a little bit more impact with it, because otherwise it just kind of seems kind of dumb. But, and on the comment I made about Suguri being, to me, a better Red than Lucky, is, well, yes, Lucky has had some great speeches throughout this series. The way Suguri handled Kotaro was fantastic. It wasn't, hey, you need to do this, which has been Lucky's thing through, like, that was Lucky's thing with Garu at the beginning of the fucking series, was literally, fuck you, you need to help. With Suguri in his conversation with Kotaro, it wasn't, you need to do this, it's, well, what do you want to do? How do you want to handle this? Rather than come to the decision that the team needs, it was let Kotaro come to his own decision and hope it's the one that the team needs. And if not, we'll deal with that when, you know, if it comes out that, you know, he didn't want to turn the key. It seemed legitimately more understanding on Suguri's part than the way Lucky has handled 90% of the team in the series. In terms of the fight, outside of the fight with the final fight with Stinger, or Scorpio, rather, this has been the best fight overall. These type of fights are why I like Sentais, because of the teamwork. Because when they work together, they kick fucking ass. Considering this has been, you know, Tetsu, he's been a guy who's, for lack of a better term, been wrecking shit. So they get them all together, and the tide is turned because they're working together. They do so very well in this episode, and I loved it. As for the mech, my big worry is with Rise that it's literally going to go back to the next episode of let's form it and shoot a laser beam rather than the mech fight that we had in this series, this episode, which, while not the best one I've seen for this series, it was good. It was rather short in my opinion, but we got a decent mech fight out of it. And I do like the fact that they've, with this one specifically, pointed out that every member is responsible for their own fucking part. Rather than the way it's been in most Sentais here lately, where it's, oh, they're all loading up in a cockpit and they're holding something. And it just magically moves the way all of them want them to at the same time. We're not going to give any explanation of how this works. This one, we literally get the explanation. Because Ho-Ho's calling out commands to, like, the 2 in the leg, the 2 in the arm. It shows that we have a firm understanding of how this mech works as a team, and I like that. I like when they explain shit like that, because it used to be back in the day that they were all sentient most of them were sentient back in the day. Like the original Megazord from Power Rangers in ZooRanger, it was sentient. That was the easiest way to explain anything in that series. Is, oh, it has a mind of its own.
There we go. You're good.
Like, I would rather have the sentient cop-out rather than the no explanation of how the mech works in any way, shape, or form, despite the fact that there are 5 members in one room, like with Shinkenger. There are 5 people in a room holding swords, or with their hands over a sword. How does that work?
As about in KyuuRanger, where they just put a gun into a slot and then wave their arms around.
Like, at least, what was it?
Geki Ranger, where they move.
Yes. That was the one I was thinking of. Geki Ranger. My brain went to
Geki Ranger makes
Fear.
the most sense because they physically move the way they want the mech to move. It's all about martial artists and actually doing the thing.
Right. It to me that makes a lot more sense rather than like Shinkenger and the fucking revolver and KyuuRanger. But to me, this is even better than that, because it's literally a mech. So we have the explanation of how it works. Like we've had the idea with this season up to now because of the way that the mechs formed and where all the cockpits are and all that. But we literally got it pointed out to us, which is a nice touch. So I enjoyed that. And because of a conversation we had prior to the podcast about a misrepresentation of the Kotaro's mom throughout the interwebs of who was playing her.
Mm-hmm.
Which is no fault to anybody, because this kind of stuff happens, where the wrong information is released about who somebody is in an episode. It was stated in several places, I'm sure, that the woman playing Kotaro's mom did the voice of Sailor Moon, which is not true. But because of Rai, I kind of hope it is. Or I kind of wish it was, because I kind of want to hear Sailor Moon's theme song play when Blue transforms now. When Kotaro transforms. I want to hear it. Somebody make that a video. Please, somebody. Get to an internet.
Fighting evil by the moonlight. Speaking of actors, Decade, earlier, did you say that one of the Vice Shoguns was in KyuuRanger?
Yeah, I gotta say that Akamba sounds pretty familiar.
Are you sure?
It's not.
It's
not KyuuRanger.
So I guess I'm wrong.
Yes.
According to King,
it's Yellow Buster,
which is from Go Busters, not KyuuRanger.
It is her. Holy crap! It sounds nothing like her. That's pretty impressive voice acting.
Yeah, I did notice that like she sounds more peppy than her character actually did.
Because she sounds exactly like freaking Candelera or whatever. Yeah, I totally thought it was her.
I don't know the fuck you say that either.
When in Go Buster, she was very like she did not like being treated as a girl, so quite a difference.
She didn't like being treated as a child because she was only 16 in that series, or at least her character was.
Okay, apparently there was miscommunication about the Sailor Moon's actress. The live-action actress was in X-Aid last week, and this week she played the mother of the kid, the one who's said that she just wanted her boy to live, and Taiga kind of gave her shit for it.
That was Sailor Moon's live actress?
According to Zero.
Okay,
yeah,
that was a miscommunication on my half. I'm
Oh,
sorry
and
to all you guys.
according to Zero, she was also in Wizard, because of course Zero would know that.
Because everything comes back to fucking Wizard. Hey, Zero, was she in Ultraman too?
Don't start him!
In about 20 seconds, we're gonna get yelled at. I think I've said all I needed to say about this episode. I really hope that they do something with Champ's backstory there. And I really hope that in the future, Garo gets more than just being a joke character.
Here's hoping.
Me too. It was like I said, it was like overall this was a great episode. I think certain things could have been done a little bit better, but I like the fact that we're finally getting progression and we're getting a little bit more mystery with certain people, which could most likely be explained through the whole time travel issue.
Yeah, I did like this episode. Of course, there are a couple bums, but all episodes have that, whether you want them or not. I really am interested in what they're going to do next week, though, because looks like the Tin Man might be getting a heart a little bit early.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to the next episode. Yeah, I think just based off of all of the great character moments, even though some of them were pretty short that this episode had, this series is definitely gonna be more consistent going forward. It'll still probably have some iffy episodes, but it's definitely getting more consistent with character development. I mean, yeah, Hami and Lucky and those guys got nothing this episode, but I mean, Sho meeting Big Bear again and having the coat exchanged. That was kind of interesting, and Naga and Balance and stuff. And yeah, definitely hope they don't drop the ball on the Champ thing. I don't think they will. Definitely more than I expected. I liked it a lot, and I'm looking forward to a Naga focused episode.
Speaking of Naga, I forgot to mention this earlier during that scene with Balance. Because Naga's a character who's really not been touched on since we got him, other than the fact that he wants to understand emotions and learn emotions and have them. And outside of the very small moments it's not really been touched on, but just in that scene with Balance when Naga appeared in front of him, is like you can see just how far Naga has come with emotion. Just in that one little scene, and to me, is like, if you're gonna undercut character development, Naga was the easiest one to do, and still make progress with the character just very subtly throughout the series, because he's come a very long way in terms of understanding them and using them. Because like the series started, that's what Naga was during that scene, is just no emotion whatsoever, except when he did use them, they were wrong. So it was a nice little touch, especially with and it's a nice build up to next week's episode. But yeah, hopefully they keep the consistency locked down, because especially since they brought in the Scorpio storyline. Since they brought that in, it's consistently stayed pretty well. That there have been a few hits or misses in terms of like scenes and timing in an episode, but consistently it's been good, and I really hope they don't drop the ball on anything that they possibly could have set up throughout the next arc.
So I think that's it for this podcast. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Yep, thanks for listening.
Later, taters.
Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you guys either next week for the next episode of KyuuRanger, or we will see you tomorrow for the podcast for Xaid. See you guys then.